Hello, today we're going to talk about hyperbolas. So, in art and sometimes in nature, we end up having hyperbolas. So, I'm going to show you this with a cone tomorrow, but when you cut a cone into different parts, you end up with different shapes called conic sections. And so, if you cut the end off of two cones that are touching nose to nose, they make a hyperbola. All right, in art or in sports, basically a basketball has threads that form a hyperbola. This building has parts on it that form a hyperbola. There's also something called a silo that looks like that. If you ever travel, I think in the Midwest or in the South, you'll see silos that form hyperbolas. And then you have these light beams coming out of a lamp that form hyperbolas. All right, so let's talk about the equations of hyperbolas. This looks really tricky, so I'm going to skip this, but if you ever want to go back to it and refer to that in order to figure out the formulas, you can come back to that and figure out the formulas. I also have this for you on a PowerPoint. All right, so let's look at this. This is a little bit more user-friendly. I'm going to go and do this so you can tell that there's two different hyperbolas we're looking at. All right, so when a hyperbola opens up along the x-axis like this, it looks kind of like the legs of it form an X, almost, okay? Well, this helps you because the X value has to go first in the equation. And then also, you know that the transverse axis right here, this is what it means. It opens up along the x-axis. So when it's moving, and opening up along the x-axis, you know it's going to have an x squared in the leading coefficient. All right, so if you're a formula person and you enjoy memorizing formulas, these red formulas right here are the equations of these dotted lines right here that are going on. All right, and those are called the asymptotes, but they also basically guide you how to graph them, okay? So let's go look over here at a vertical transverse axis. Now again, you've got the hyperbola opening up and opening down along the y-axis. Your y squared is first, and your equations of your asymptotes are a little bit different, okay? So I don't really like using that formula for the asymptotes because it's confusing in order to figure that out. There are other ways to do that, and that would be with a graphing approach. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and find the center, foci, vertices, and equations of the asymptotes of this hyperbola. All right, so let's start with the center. It's always good to start with the center, okay? So the center is going to be whatever is affiliated with that y value and whatever is affiliated with that x value. So we do know one thing. Because the y value is first, it's going to open up like that, and it's going to open up down, okay? Has nothing to do with bigger number, smaller number. It has to do with what is written first. All right, so let's go and figure out our center. Our center is going to be positive 2 and negative 4. So let's go graph that. All right, positive 2 and negative 4 is right here. All right, so let's go on back. Now we're going to go and take some parts of this equation to help us draw the hyperbola. So the very next thing you do is you draw the asymptotes. Okay, the asymptotes are kind of like the electric fence or the lines that you're going to try to stay within, kind of like the road. All right, so let's go figure out A and B. All right, in this case, A is 6 and B is 5. If you notice, A is always your first number in your denominator. Doesn't matter whether it's bigger or smaller. It's just your first number. All right, so let's go and now here's what you're going to do with this. It's kind of cool. All right, you're going to count up and down 6 and left and right 5 from the center to make your asymptotes. So let's see, how do I know I'm going up and down? Well, I know I'm going up and down because I'm going along the y-axis. All right, so let's start at our center, and we're going to go 6 up and 6 down and draw a little dot. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what you do here to help you decide which way to go left and right, you're going to go left and right along the X, right? 5 places. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and draw a bigger dot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and draw a dot. Now these look really weird. So we went down 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Now all this stuff in the middle, you don't even need it anymore. So let's go ahead and erase it all. All right. Why did I draw these 4 dots? Well, now think about it. This is turning it into a nice, lovely rectangle, but it's also going to be our asymptotes. Once you make an X and connect those dots, this is going to be the line where the graph will not cross. Okay? All right. Now, let's go find, well, we can't graph it yet. We do know it's going to go kind of like that, kind of like that. If nothing else, you can draw that. At least you know which direction it's opening. All right, let's go find our foci first because you really have to be outside of the foci when you graph it. So our formula now for the foci is just the Pythagorean theorem. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes with that, okay? It has to do with triangles. I'm not going to get too much into it. I actually do have the answers here, but let's go and work it out. Okay, so we're going to come down here. We're going to write c squared is equal to, now we have our a and our b. A is 6, so 6 squared, and b is 5 squared, or b is 5, so we're going to square it. Okay, so 36 plus 25, and we get c squared, and so we get c is equal to 61. Oh, I'm sorry, c squared is 61. So therefore, c is equal to the square root of 61. All right. Well, just like we did with ellipses, we're going to add and subtract our c. So let's just put a plus and a minus from our center. Now, because it is opening along the y or vertically, okay, we're going to move up and down from the transverse axis. So let's go, and we know that we're going to go over 2. Now here's what I do. I start at the center, and I'm going to go up and down square root of 61. All right, this is the algebraic way of doing it. This is my way, which is graphing. Start at the center and go up and down square root of 61. All right, so let's go, and square root of 61 is just a little bit less than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not quite 8. And draw a dot. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to pretend there's a 7 and a not quite 8 right there. And draw a dot. Okay? So I don't really need any of this stuff here. So I know that I do not need to, hold on one second. Let me get this right here. I'm going to erase some of this real quick. All right, erase. All right, so I know that my vertices are going to be between here, okay? you're going to go along there and along there. Now that's not really exact. All right, there is a formula for figuring that out too, and it's down here. So you're going to go over h again. So over h, and then you're just going to go k plus and minus a. Well, what is a again? A is 6. Okay, so we're going to go, see, I'm not quite, I came in a little too close here. All right, so plus and minus 6. Of course, you're not going to go out as far as the foci. Ooh, that's the wrong color. All right, so, oh, what color can we make it? Let's make it red. All right. Oh, I already made it red. Let's make it blue. Okay, so the vertices are going to be blue. All right, we're going to go over h. We're going to go k plus or minus a. All right, a is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's your vertice. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's your other one. Okay, it's right here where you went this far, right? You went this far on your, when you're making your asymptotes. Pretty much that's where it's going to go. All right, so from here, now you can draw. All right, so let's go back up here. We've got all our guidelines. We've got our vertice. We know we have to stay within this line. It's going to hug really, really close, and it's going to go up that way. And then we've got another one that's going to come around this way, and it's going to go around that way. And you're done. You drew your hyperbola. All right, so let's go and try one more. Okay, so we've got x squared over 9 minus y minus 5 squared over 81. I might run out of time, so I'm going to try to go really, really fast. All right, so my center is going to be at 0, 5. Okay, my x value is first this time, so it's going to open up a little differently. So let's draw our center at 0, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we're going to go and count up to make find our asymptote. So again, a is equal to 3, b is equal to 9. All right, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to go up that far. Okay, now look, this 3 is along the x, so you've got to go along the x to get there. Okay, I always like to start with my y. I don't know why I do that, but I do it. All right, so I go up and down 9 to start with. So I don't think I'm going to make it to get to this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know if I'm going to make it. So let's try to go to the bottom one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'm going to go over left and right 3. 1, 2, 3, draw a dot. 1, 2, 3, draw a dot. Okay, so we'll deal with the top half of this graph in a little bit. I just didn't leave myself very much room when I made this graph. All right, so now I pretty much know where, this is basically just a guideline where I'm going to draw my line for my asymptotes. So let's just go ahead and draw those asymptotes. And if we're consistent, we can probably get pretty far up here. Okay, here's our center. Remember, it's going to open up along the x-axis, so we're going to have a very, very wide parabola going along this way. All right, so now we've got, let's go find our foci. So we've got c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So c squared equals 9 plus 81, and that's going to give us c squared is equal to 90. So c is equal to the square root of 90. All right, well, square root of 90 is a little bit bigger than 9, so let's go find that. I'm going to make that purple. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, not quite 10 is where I got to go, actually. Same way over here. Here's going to be my foci on this side. All right, so now I've got that. All right, let's go and find our, we drew our asymptotes. Now let's go and find our vertices. So I just erased my asymptote here. Hold on. Should be right about there. All right, I got to stop here. I'm running out of time.